Well, joining with us on this subject now is Aaron Katsof. He's the head of development for the Binyamin Regional Council, and he's speaking to us from the settlement of Shiloh in the West Bank. And Aaron, let me ask you, some of the other leaders in the settlement movement have been expressing disappointment over the most recent comments from Jared Kushner in the White House. They seem to give the impression they heard something different on a visit last week to Washington of settlement figures of which you were a part of. What did you hear in Washington? What kind of impression did you get on this annexation issue?
Hi, Caleb. Well, that's a very good question. I actually just came back from a week in Washington, D.C., but before that, I just want to acknowledge that I'm speaking, as you said, from Shiloh. Now, Shiloh was the capital of Israel for 369 years before Jerusalem. Now, an amazing thing happened. Last week, my son was walking right outside over here, and he found this. This is a pottery shard that
Aaron, I'm sorry, but we have limited time. I do want to get to the...
I know, just really fast. It was in Joshua's tabernacle from 3,600 years ago.
Aaron,
which means, what I'm saying is like this. We've been here for over 3,600 years in this capital. We're here to stay. Now, to answer straight to your question is like this. As I said, I'm in Shiloh. The Obama administration talked about
Aaron, I'm sorry. What did you hear?
And President Trump.
Aaron, what did you hear last week in Washington? What did you hear last week in Washington?
Is that President Trump said like this, that not one Jew will be exiled from our land. And this is our land, and we're here to stay. And the annexation should happen very fast, and they told us very clear, the administration, the annexation is an inner Israel decision that has to be made, and is not an American decision.
But did they say, I'm sorry, did they say it would happen very fast? Is that what you heard? You heard an American official say very fast.
Well, no. What they said when we asked them, they said that is not our decision. That is an Israel decision that should be made from Israel. That was the exact answer that was given to us.
Okay. So Jared Kushner now says it should not happen. We heard him. He gave interviews. It should not happen before the election. It's a process that had several months. Do you feel that's different than the impression that you received when you were in Washington?
Not an impression. That's 100% different from what was told us in Washington. We had meetings with American officials, and we were told very clearly that that's an Israeli decision, and Israel will be able to make that decision as soon as or whenever they decide to do it.
Now that Jared Kushner has said differently, you heard, I presume, Ayelet Shaked saying that Israel should go ahead, start the annexation process, even if it's not to the pleasure of the Trump administration. Do you agree with that?
So what I would say is like this. I would say the difference between this agreement and Oslo is that the Oslo agreement is first they gave them guns, and then they said, okay, now you have to do your part. From that, we have way too many orphans, way too many people died from that. What the Trump administration said like this, they said before anything will be given to the Palestinian side, they will have to prove themselves for 4 years that they could really stop funding terror, they could stop educating to terror. As of now, that's not happening.
Okay, but I understand that, and you made that point. Now I'm asking you, do you believe that the current government, the interim government, should begin the annexation process despite the objections of say, Jared Kushner and the Trump administration?
I believe that Israel needs to do what Israel needs to do, and at the same time, we've never had such great friends like the American administration right now, like America, and I think we should do the right thing, at the same time folding our hands together with the American administration.
And briefly, do you think the Benjamin Netanyahu is keeping to the spirit of what you said? Is he? There was supposed to be a vote on annexation, possibly even yesterday. Do you think Benjamin Netanyahu is following the correct path?
That I don't know. That you'll have to ask him.
Well, I'm asking you. Do you think, do you agree it was right to cancel apparently what was going to be a meeting on annexation in the cabinet yesterday? I'm asking you, Aaron.
I don't know enough inside information to really to answer to that.
All right, Aaron.
But what I do know is right now, where I live, we're the only ones that live under military occupation. I live under military occupation. When I want to build another room in my house, I need to get approved from the military. There's almost no Palestinians that live under military occupation, and that is why it is so important to annex, because military should not rule people.
Okay.
People should be ruled under civil rule, and that is why it is so important to do real annexation. It's time to claim our land and to live under civil rights just like every other person.
Aaron Katsof in Shiloh, thank you for joining us.